Hello and welcome back. Another week, another couple of chapters, 5 to be exact, of boyfriend material. Now, I'm very excited, this week. So I literally just read it. I just finished it and I was like, usually I take a bit of time or I do a couple of things to let it sink in, but these chapters were great. These chapters were fantastic. Like, the first 5 were good, do not get me wrong, but they were like starting it. I was enjoying it. I was getting into it. I was wondering where the story was like going. They were the setup chapters, and that's what they were there for. And that's fine. They did a very good job. But these chapters, I was like, I am in it. I am in the fandom. I am really enjoying it. Like, just the things we went through and the plot points and the fun and the writing was really good. And I was like, oh no, I'm falling in love with the character. I was just, and the writing, it really kicked up a gear from like the first 5 to these 5, which is good. That's how books go. They like progress as you get into the story and they get better and better. And it helps having the good first 5 chapters as the foundation. But I don't know. There was something about these chapters that were just good. I'm back in it. Like, I'm like, yes, new loves, haters to lovers, enemies to lovers, a family, like friends stuff. I don't know. It was just really good. So I was really excited. I was literally reading it. So I sit, you can't see it. I don't want to swivel my camera because I'll never get it back. it'll be different to what it was. It'll annoy me. Anywho, I sit on a couch, like just over there. And I like curl up and I was like reading them and I was like, oh, I did a couple of, oh, that was good, or like, oh, that was cute, or different things like that. It was very good. But we should get into it. Only a couple things. I was in my normal, and you've probably seen it before. I definitely wore it in something else. My like normal Nike jumper, and I was like, I feel underdone if I wear that to this, because we had a first date in this, so I was like, no, I have to put on something somewhat presentable, because I felt like Luke. I was like, holy shit, I can't do it, like, I've got to wear something nice. But other than that, I have a link to my Twitter down below if you'd like to follow me there. Like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Also, I forgot to say, firstly, I always love, I'll do my intro and then I'll like get into it. I was like, what did I forget to say that I planned out in my head before? Thank you very much for the support. This is the first thing I should have said, but I was very happy that like, we're still on this book club journey together. We're going into a new book because obviously we like cultivated this one for Red, White and Royal Blue. I'm just happy it continues somewhere, especially like enjoying this book so much as I'm going through it. Like, especially now, I'm like, it's fun to be able to go along with people, and all the comments, it was really nice. Anywho, we should get on with it. Chapter 6 starts. Someone's going against their better judgment. They decided Oliver Blackwood. Also, what a name. Like, what a fancy name. He's like, oh, we've decided we're going to go on a date with him. We're going to save our job, which I think is great. And he's like we all do this, don't we? If we're going on like a date, possibly, you send like 1,000 pictures to your friends and you're like, what do I look like? Tell me. Like, you're like, you have to be brutally honest, because I need to know if I look good or not, because I am trying to present myself. And I think it's just so funny. He's like, tell me what's going on. And of course, he's late, but I love it how he says something like, on the other hand, Oliver was a friend of Bridget, so he's probably developed a certain tolerance for tardiness over the years, which A, I think is hilarious. B, we all have those friends, do we not? We all have the late friend. I immediately thought of one of my friends came to mind. I was like, yep, we're all used to it. We all know that I think I could be a late friend to a couple of people, but I'm not that bad. Depends what the event or occasion is. But I have one friend and I was like, sometimes we will just be like, yeah, let's make it this because you're gonna get there half an hour later. So we'll tell you this time. Also, I was going to lunch with friends a couple of weeks ago. 40 minutes late. Different people, 40 minutes late. And I was like, are you kidding me? I just stood there and smiled. I was like, I'm fine with it. I'm used to the late people. But I was like, 40 minutes. I was like, was traffic bad? They're like, no. Is parking bad? No, not really. I was like, let me know. Tell me what was the problem then, because I need closure. Anywho, we're getting on to the date, and it is awkward as hell, and it's fun. It's fun to read an awkward date. If you have to live it, it is the actual living embodiment of hell. It is the worst thing ever. I feel like granted, I don't go on dates very often, so I'm not the the person to comment on this, but most dates that I have been on have been fairly good, luckily. Plus, like, generally a lot of people I think talk before on dating apps, so at least you have like the framework of whether it's gonna work or not. And I don't think I've ever been to like a fancy restaurant date. I haven't gone to one of those ever before. Waiting, hopefully it will go, because I love me a fancy restaurant. But yeah, this kind of set up like the dream. Oliver is becoming my dream person. like boring business and beautiful. I love it. It's so much fun. But taking someone to this fancy restaurant, he's just, yeah, it's tough. I'm really starting to enjoy his character, and we'll get on about it through. I mean, so is someone else. I'm just saying, I'm not the only one currently falling in love. But so Luke was talking about like, oh, you know, the menu. Oliver was like, oh, they have like great fish sandwiches, and he's like, it better be for the price we're paying for it. I was like, oh my god, no, a swanky restaurant, and Luke's got like, you know, he might be out of the job soon, and they will probably charge you an arm and a leg and maybe selling your soul to Satan to bloody be able to afford to there. And then Oliver was just like, oh, since I will be paying, that is not your that need not concern you. He speaks so fancy that I can't read it because I'm too not fancy. Oh my gosh. I wouldn't, given I chose the restaurant, and I believe Bridget said you work with dung beetles. He quickly follows up with, I work for dung beetles. Yes, I know he knows it's not better, and I definitely didn't think so. But I think it's just like, it's so cute when someone does like offer you that. Obviously, it seemed a bit like pity, just slightly. But he did the, you know, I knew it was expensive, so obviously I'm going to take on that responsibility. But Luke was like, you know, no, don't do that. And then he was like, no, how could we? We should go halves. And then Oliver follows up with, this one's on me, I insist. I felt weirdly patriarchal, but I wasn't sure I was allowed to complain about it, on the account that both of us were men. If you notice the door is closed now. The cat was in my room. He's a lovely guy. He just wanted to play. He will get the absolutely most love and affection, but he's a vocal guy and it picks up on the mic. So that's why the door's closed, if you're confused. But, he's like, oh, it's patriarchal, like, and it's just a funny bit, like, oh, he shouldn't pay for me, like, let's do halves. I agree. It's very, like, society and dating and who pays is weird in general. I think it's strange. I think it's sometimes weird to expect other people to pay for you. I'm a big fan of halvesies. I do like that thought. I think it's good. But I do also get the other side of people not doing it because they pity you or they feel bad. It's just not, they enjoy paying for you. And I get that sensation too if I pay on a date. I think it's nice. I think it is a really nice thing to do for someone. But when someone pays for me, I go on the completely other foot. I'm like, no, don't. Like, I think in the ideal world, it's whoever like plans the first one kind of like pays, and then you plan the second one and you pay for it, and then you go halvesies all the time after that, except for like special occasions and stuff. I don't know. I am a big halvesies guy. I like it. I just think there's something beautiful about someone paying for someone. But I like the mutual agreement that we're both here to enjoy it, and both. I think everyone should look at it as when you're going halvesies, you're paying for the other person. So you both get that satisfaction of being paid for and I don't know, there's just something about the halvesies that I love. Especially as a gay man, I think doing the halvesies with another man just like works the best. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that, because I have gone into many like conversations, argument with like my friends that I speak to about it, because I don't know, there's something weird about it. And then there's the whole topic of like expecting people to pay, or like some people even, these are none of my friends, but like you hear those stories of like they just go on dates to get meals paid for them. I don't know. It's a whole weird dilemma. So let me know what you think about that down below, because I feel like I could go on ad nauseum about it, because it's a very interesting topic. So they're doing this thing where he was like, oh, I don't know if I could order something fancy. Like, I don't know how to ask that. And Oliver's like, I wish I could hear his voice in my head. Like, I have a version of his voice that I have created, and I'd love to demonstrate that for you, but I think I have to, like, practice it, because it's in a British accent, because that's where they live, and it's, like, deeper and, like, so, I don't know, he has this, like, buttery, like, deeper British voice in my head, and it's so good, and I don't think I could deliver how I hear him, but every time I read out anything like that he says, I want to like that's how I hear it, and I want to reciprocate it, but I don't think I could, and I don't want to have to go on doing the whole book in a horrible accent. But you know, he's like, I could no, I'm not gonna do it. He's like, I could order for you, and then Luke's like, that seems kind of weird, but also maybe I like that vibe. The waiter returned, and while I sat in sulky silence, Oliver placed our order. The whole experience was slightly strange, since I hadn't figured out how demeaning I should be finding it. I definitely wouldn't have wanted it to happen regularly, but there was some pathetic, lonely part of me that enjoyed being so publicly possessed, especially like a man like Oliver Blackwood. It felt peculiarly close to being worth something. Ooh, Luke, man, we are fucking similar, because, just the thought of, like, someone ordering for me. I'm not as in my head as Luke, and I get why he is. Well, obviously, we're very different people, and he's a character, but the idea of someone, like, ordering for you is, like, that's romance. That's, like, them just being like, babe, I got this, and then, like, I think it's like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, I'm just too, but they can do it. I think it's so special. I don't know. I feel like I'm in this experience with Luke. Like, I'm on the date as well. And I feel like that's like the ultimate compliment to the writer, because to feel like you are there and experiencing it with them is just so much fun. I feel like I'm on the ride. I'm feeling the highs and the lows. I'm feeling the awkwardness of all the bad bits that are going on. But we're talking more about, like, the food, we're doing awkward small talk, we're talking about the restaurant, and I just like this this bit here. It's the sort of restaurant you'd come back for anniversaries and special occasions, and reminisce about the perfect first date that you shared there. Or bad one. The fish sarnie, when it showed up, turned out to be pretty much the most perfect thing I'd ever eaten. Buttery sourdough wrapped around smoky dabs of eel, slathered in truly fiery horseradish and Dijon mustard, and served with pickled red onions, just sharp enough to cut through the meaty intensity of the fish. I think maybe I genuinely moaned. See how I don't mistake anything when I'm reading about food, because that is something I am honed in on. Okay, I said once I inhaled it. I was too hasty. That was so good, I could pretty much marry you now. Maybe I was seeing the world through eel-tinted glasses, but right then, Oliver's eyes had a touch of silver in them, and were softer than I thought. I'm happy you liked it. I could eat one every day for the rest of my life. How could you know these exist and give them up? Because he's a vegetarian. That's why he gave them up. I thought it was the right thing to do. I can't tell if that's really commendable or really tragic. He lifted one shoulder in a self-conscious shrug, and the silence between us, while still not comfortable, seemed slightly less jagged. Maybe this was going to be okay. Maybe we've been saved by dead fish. Oh my god, I just love, and this is a thing I really loved with Henry and Alex, and obviously it's not that I don't want to compare them. I don't want anyone to think that I can't, like, differentiate them, but it's a thing I liked so much that Alex did, and it was done in the writing, where it would be, I hate this, I don't like it, but it'd be this little like step forward. You know, it's the one step forward, two steps back. Like you'd have something bad or things that they don't like, but they just throw in like a compliment, or this might be okay. And I love those. I think they're so cute and makes it so, like, he's like, oh, it's not that bad. Or like the glitter in it, like, cause he was talking about how his eyes were like gray and dull, and he's like, wow, like if I look at them in this moment, I see like specks of silver and color and passion. I think that's like a beautiful thing. I just love the enemies to lovers trope so much. So they're talking about what Oliver does for work, and through this time, Oliver has been shifting around and accidentally kicking Luke under the table, which I don't think it's not anything said, but I had to give you the backstory for this bit I'm going to read out. I assure you, it's been accidental every time. He looked so mortified I took pity on him. It's me. I'm all legs. We both peered beneath the tablecloth. How about I suggested, swinging my feet to the right. He shuffled his Italian leather Oxfords to the left. And I go... His ankle brushed against mine as we rearranged ourselves, and it had clearly been way too long since I got laid, because I damn nearly fainted. Dragging my attention away from our under-table negotiations, I found him watching me with his crooked half-smile, as if we'd single-handedly, footedly, brought peace to the Middle East. And all of a sudden, he was a lot more bearable. Enough more bearable that I could almost see myself putting up with a man who smiled like that, and bought me amazing eel sandwiches, even if I didn't have to. Which was way, way worse than not liking him. Just the way that he's like, liking him is worse than not liking him, and I get it. And, his crooked smile, and I could just... There was like tension when they touched. It's perfect and so relatable where, you haven't like dated anyone, been with anyone, did anything with anyone in a long time, and you like brush past them, or you hold a hand, or you just like bump, and you just like feel that electricity and spark, and you're like, oh my god, and you just feel it well up. I feel like I can feel Luke's emotions so well. I know what they are. I feel like I've experienced some of them. It's really good. There's something to be said about they're a little bit more relatable than first son of the United States and Prince of England. They were very relatable and lovely, but they hold a lot higher stations than I did. But there's just something so like real about this that I love. I don't know, Luke to me is very relatable, and I think there's a lot of different characters in many different books and media that you can take like relatability to various levels, and with him it just feels very high like a lot of the time, which I think is going to be a factor of me really enjoying this book so much. So we've been talking about Oliver's job, how he's a criminal defense barrister, lawyer. I don't know either. Like Luke, I am dumb and don't know things about the world, and he's talking about how he defends criminals and how everyone thinks he's a bad person. And Luke's kind of like he's paying attention, but he's like, I don't really understand what's meant to be going on. Like, he doesn't really know what's going on. Therefore, he doesn't have these like pre-formulated opinions about how he could be bad or not. I feel like I'm the same thing when people talk about politics. I'm like, I got no clue what's going on, so I have to be informed. But there's a couple of bits here that I really like. Oliver, I said softly, realizing I'd never said his name before, and confused by how intimate it was. I don't think you're a bad person, which means next to nothing coming from me, because you only have to pick up a paper or Google my name to know what sort of a person I am. He now looked uncomfortable for a different reason. I am aware of your reputation, but if I am to know you, Lucien, I'd rather it came from you. Shit. This had got real out of nowhere. How hard could it be to get a guy to like you enough to date you for a few months, but not so much that you had to deal with those weird emotion things that fucked with your head, ruined your sleep, and left you crying in the bathroom floor at 3 a.m. Well, for starters, it's Luke. First of all, he's catching feelings instantly, and it's great. B, we will talk about the pronunciation of his full name in a second. Luke. Somehow I could always tell when people pronounced it with a K and an E. Luke. He makes me second guess myself. It seems a shame when Lucien is such a beautiful name. Actually, that's the English pronunciation. Surely not, he flints. Lucian, as the Americans would say? Oh, God no, my mother's French. Ah, Lucien then. Again, I hope I'm saying Lucien correctly. Let me know. And if you have to, put it phonetically, and I will try and get it right. I was meant to Google it before this, but I finished the chapters, and I was so bloody excited to get into it, I forgot, okay? I'm sorry. But I'm going with Lucien. They said the Americans say Lucian, so hopefully that's the wrong pronunciation, but Lucien is what I'm going with. Also, it's a character from Pokemon, so I think I could be right possibly, but I really hope I'm doing it justice. But let me know. He said it perfectly too. Possibly not me. With the half-swallowed softness of the final syllable, smiling at me. The first full smile I'd seen from him. And shocking in its sweetness. He says something in French. It doesn't say that, I just don't want to say the French. It says something and then it says, vous parlez français? I think, which is, do you speak French? I'm assuming. There's really no excuse for what happened next, but I think maybe I just wanted him to keep smiling at me, because for some reason I said, oui oui, and puis, which I have no idea. I know oui oui, and that's about it. And then to my horror, he rattled off God knew what, leaving me to scrape to the bottom of the barrel of my GCSE French, for which I received a D. Then he rattles off something else in French, which was, and I'm pretty sure from context, do you know where the bathroom is? Which is so funny. So he went to the bathroom, came back, and he's like, you don't speak French at all, do you? And he's like, no, I actually don't. I was like, Luke, you got to get out of your head, and you've got to just admit to him that A, you don't speak French, B, stop being an asshole sometimes, and C, that you kind of like him already, that you're catching feelings. How come you're so fluent? I asked in a subcomponent attempt to salvage the evening. He poked sheepishly at the remains of his vegetables. Family have a holiday home in Provence. Of course they did. Of course you do. What do you mean by that? I shrugged. Just, I can imagine it. No wonder you grew up all nice and put together and perfect, and way too good for me. I've certainly never claimed to be perfect, Lucien. Oh, stop it with the Lucien, will you? I'm sorry, didn't realize you didn't like it. Except I did like it. That was the problem. I wasn't here to like things. Liking things was trouble. I told you before, I snarled. It's Luke. Just Luke. Oh, the way he just, he gets these things that he likes and he's catching those feelings. But I think he has been so, that last relationship ended so poorly for him that he has a very hard time with maybe enjoying these nice things, because he knows how nice things and good feelings can lead to love and relationships, and if those fade, those lead to the same heartbreak, obviously, and he can't dare put himself through that again. But I love that this is setting up that you have all these things that he hates but he loves from Oliver, and I think it's going to go really well, progressing through the story, and just to have it so early on is so much fun. So at the last for the last course, we're getting dessert, and he's just like, why don't you have any? I'm not a fan of desserts, but I hope you like this one. It's very good. If you're not a fan, how do you know it's... I wriggled my fingers in air quotes. Very good. Do you want to share it with me? It was the closest thing I could get right then to an apology, because it wasn't like I could say, I'm so desperate for this to work and so terrified of this working that I'm lashing out over the things you like, being quite nice and not wholly unattractive and having an ordinary childhood. He was eyeing the lemon posset, I hope I'm saying that word right, like the way I've always wanted someone to look at me. Honestly, I look at my food with the love that people want. That's when I give love affirming eyes, it is nearly solely at food. Maybe I could have a little. Let me ask for more cutlery. No need. Okay, it was at the 11th hour. Time to get my sexy on. I broke the pristine surface of the cream, mounding it perfectly onto the spoon, along with a few pieces of rhubarb, and holding it out to Oliver. I offered him my very best, most hopeful smile, whereupon he took the spoon from my fingers, crushing me so utterly I couldn't even enjoy the taste of the lemon posset. The lemon posset made his whole face go dreamy in bliss. Thank you, he said, returning the damn spoon. I plunged it violently into the pudding, shoveling what remained into my mouth, as if it was my mortal enemy. Oliver watched me, confused once again. Should I order another one? No, I'm good. Let's get out of here. I'll get the bill. God, I was undateable. Genuinely fucking undateable. No wonder Oliver had practically vomited when that randomer at Bridges' party had thought we were going out. No wonder he'd dumped me in bed and run away screaming at the time I tried to hit on him. No wonder he didn't even trust me to put a spoon of pudding in his mouth. Oh, I love it. He wanted to like feed him and it'd be cute and really like solidify a core memory, a cute moment for them. And all he could get was him taking the spoon and be like, oh, that was nice. And then he's like, no, fucking you ruined my plans. That's why you've got to, I feel like in those instances, you have to at least be somewhat honest. Be like, I'll pop it in. Like, just say it. Just go for it. Balls to the wall. Either way, he could just take it off you anyway. Oh my gosh. But they're outside. They're like talking. They're kind of in that phase of like, do we do something? It's the most awkward thing after you leave like the first like activity of a date. And you kind of just stand around and you're like, oh shit. Especially if it's gone well, it's a lot easier. But for this one, he needs it to go well. And he's like, oh, what are we gonna do? Am I gonna get fired? Am I this never gonna go through? I needed a plan. I didn't have a plan. So I lost my fucking mind and threw myself at him, fastening my mouth with his, with all the grace and charm of a barnacle on a whale's flipper. It lasted seconds before he pushed me away, a knee-buckling blur of heat and softness that, for the sweetest of moments, tasted like lemon posset. God, I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not. Knowing me! He was like, what the actual fuck? Like, why are you kissing me? I was like, oh god. Even I was like, I would not be daring enough for that. If my job was on the line, still probably not. That would be too much for me. I think I'd crumble into a million pieces. It was a kiss, I said, with the nonchalance I was far from feeling. Why, haven't you had one before? People sometimes exchange them on dates. He turned to me with such ferocity that I actually took a step back. Is this a game to you? What has Bridget told you? What? No. Tell me what's going on. Nothing's going on. We were sort of dancing down the street at this point, me skipping backwards over the pavement as he stalked after me, shoes clicking and coat flying. There was clearly something very, very wrong with me because it was kinda hot. Yeah, there's a problem, but also, I get it. The problem with me is sometimes, like, I can look at a character and be like, yeah, you shouldn't think that. Because Luke and I are similar. I'm like, I get what you mean. I'm the same sort as him. Oh, Jesus. His eyes gleamed. Now. I tripped over the curb as it flattened unexpectedly at the side street, but Oliver caught my wrist before I could fall, yanking me against his body and holding me there, making me, I guess, equivalent to a plant to his estimation. God, his coat was cozy. Please stop playing with me, Luke. Now he just sounded tired, maybe even a little soured. What's it really about? Fuck, the jig was beyond up. I've been in the papers again recently, so I need a respectable boyfriend or I'll lose my job. Bridge suggested you. Of course, Tom had been right all along. It sounded terrible. I ducked my head, barely able to look Oliver in the face. I'm sorry, I went on inadequately. I'll pay you back for dinner. He ignored that. Bridge thought I'd be good for you? Well, I flapped a hand at him. Look at you. You're perfect. I beg your pardon? Never mind. I had no right to touch anything so nice, but I hid my face against his coat, and he let me. You've always acted like you thought you were better than me. I was close enough that I heard him swallow. Is that what you believe? Well, it's true. You are. Happy now? Not remotely. The pause that followed whistled in my ears like I was falling. Explain to me again, said Oliver finally. Why do you need a boyfriend? It was the least I owed him, mainly for this big fundraiser I've got coming up at the end of April. Our donors think I'm all a bad gay. He frowned. What's a good gay? Someone like you. I see. Don't worry about it. I finally managed to peel myself off his coat. It's not your I'll do it. My jaw dropped so hard it clicked. You what? As it happens, I also have an event coming up that may go more smoothly with someone on my arm. I'll be your public boyfriend if you'll be mine. He was insane. He had to be insane. It's not the same. You mean one of his cool, grey glances? I'm to help you with your significant occasion, but you won't help me with yours? With mine? No, God no. It's just you're a fancy lawyer. I'm a criminal barrister. Most people think we're the scum of the earth. And I think that's a very important point to make. While Luke thinks he's so fancy and perfect, and we've talked about, if you watch my Heartstopper stuff, we know my thoughts on perfect, but perfect is, that's a whole loaded thing. But he has this whole thing of everyone thinks we're the scum of the earth. Everyone hates me. I'm probably in the bad books or in the tabloids and the press defending these people that everyone hates, and everyone hates me too for doing it. And he has this this view of himself that is not you always see someone else in a better light than you. You always think they're more attractive. I don't know. You're always going to be more harsh on yourself than you are. I know I do it too. I'll be like, oh my god, these people are perfect, and they probably think that they're just a normal person. It's always when you see someone else or things that you like in other people, they just add up to make the best thing ever. But it might not always be how they think. I think it's kind of a nice thing in a way that when you appreciate someone else, you just, or things they do, or you have this whole, you can have this whole thought about them and they're so good to you, and if only everyone knew what everyone else was thinking, that actually could be horrible. But all those nice things and thoughts that may be made at glances and for people who I don't know, tell someone you like something good about them. It'll probably make their day. I think that's a good thing. Maybe I should do that more. me saying, everyone, let's do something nice, and then be like, that's out of character for me. I would, I guess it's fun. It's fun being nice every once in a while. You gotta remind everyone that you have a heart beating there somewhere. I'm literally talking to myself here. I'm trying to tell myself, say something nice to someone. And I'm the disgraced son of a disgraced rock star. I can't hold my drink. I'm unnecessarily mean. I make terrible decisions. You can't possibly want me to accompany you to anything. His chin came up. Nevertheless, those are my terms. You know you'll end up in the tabloids if you spend too long with me. I don't care what people say about me. I laughed, shocking even myself with how bitter it sounded. You think that? And then they start saying things. I'll take the risk. Really? God. Dizzily, I found myself reaching for his coat again. The coat thing was adorable. A, dressed so perfectly, and B, the way it's used as this warmth, his, I don't know, the way he can just kind of hold it as an enclosed space. I don't know, it's beautiful imagery. I love it. I want to look up fan art, but I won't do it because I don't want spoilers, just in case. Yes, but if we do this, we have to do it properly. I blinked at him. Properly sounds ominous. I was not good at properly. You should know I performed very badly in standardized tests. I just need you to make an effort to be convincing. I don't care about your past or internet gossip, but... And here that stern mouth pressed into a hard line. I'd rather not have to explain to my family that my boyfriend is only pretending. Oh my god, he's you can't fuck this up. Wait, your family? Yes, it's my parents' ruby wedding anniversary in June. I don't want to go alone. Is it, I couldn't help asking, in Provence? Milton Keyes. And you seriously want to take me to meet your folks? Why not? How long have you got? Oh my god, I love it that he's just so he's so against liking himself and his own negative self-image of himself. He's you can't possibly, and I get it because I feel he hears a lot of that reinforced in the public eye and the media. I think that's so horrible how that works with the paparazzi, because you can be the strongest person ever, but eventually some comments are still gonna get to you, and I think that's just so harsh that he's just he doesn't believe that he could do it, or he's worthy of a boyfriend, or being nice or happy. It's tough. He's got some trauma in his past that I hope Oliver really helps him with, and vice versa. I can't wait for them both to really start opening up more. And we see that, well, we kind of left on a cliffhanger with that at the end of the chapters that I'm reading. So I asked, what now? Brunch at mine, this Sunday? Twice in a week. He'd be sick of me before I even made it to the Beetle Drive, and I'd be sick of him, or I wouldn't. And wouldn't was too scary to handle right now. If this is going to work, he gazed out at me solemnly. We need to get to know each other, Luke. You can call me Lucien, I blurted out. I thought you said you didn't. It can be your special name for me. I mean, Suddenly, I couldn't catch my breath. Your fake special name for me. That's a thing, right? That couples do? But I don't want to have a fake special name for you that you genuinely don't like. There was that light again, those secret flecks of silver in the cold steel of his eyes. That would make me a terrible boyfriend. It's fine, I overreacted. I don't care. That's hardly an endorsement. I mean, I don't mind. Was he going to make me beg? Who was I kidding? I was probably going to. This is why relationships suck. They made you need shit you were perfectly happy not needing, and then they took them away. He gave me one of those too searching, too sincere looks. Well, if that's what you want. I nodded, quietly hating myself. That's what I want. Then I'll see you on Sunday, he smiled. Oliver Blackwood was smiling. At me. For me. Because of me. Lucian. Ooh, that was a good end to not end to where we're done, but a good end to the chapter, and they're gonna fake date, and it's really cute, and he's like, they take it away from me, but I was like, just tell him you want him to call him, you want him to call you by your full name, and how you think it's cute and you like it, and it's, you can, even if you're fake boyfriending, I think that honesty, and I hope that's where they'll get to at one point before they become real boyfriends, but it's just so adorable. That's he's like, that's what I want from you. Oh, they're going to be so good. I'm going to love them so much. I can already tell. Oliver is just, whew. In my mind, Oliver's just the pinnacle. But that's because Luke talks it up. And because I'm like, Luke, I'm feeling the same way. So we're back at work. We're talking to Bridget on the phone. We're talking about the date. Well, we're talking about her going to get fired again. We had more jokes with, oh my God, what is his name? It was Alex, right? Yeah, more jokes to Alex. Casual work time. Oh, she perked up. That reminds me. How did your date go? It was awful. We have nothing in common. I think I might have sexually assaulted him, and we're both going to pretend to give it a go anyways because we're both desperate. I knew you'd make it work out. Ugh, optimism. I rolled my eyes, but only because she couldn't see me. That's not working something out. That's making something up. Yes, but you'll slowly discover that you're not as different as you initially assumed, and then he'll surprise you with how thoughtful he is, and then you'll come to his rescue in an unexpected moment of need, and you'll fall madly in love with each other and live happily ever after. That's never going to happen. He doesn't even like me. Oh my God, I'm like, Bridge, spoilers, that's exactly how this book's going to go. I hope, I can't wait to see. I hope that is exactly how the book's going to play out, and it's a fun little spoiler, we know what's going to happen, and they've kind of said it, and then we get to learn more about it. Oh, I think it's going to be so cute. He's not hopeless, he's an uptight git. In general. Not because he was bothered by me non-consensually kissing him. Okay, let me rephrase. He's an uptight git who, independent of his uptightness and gittitude, isn't into me. Luke, she cried. That's not true. When she gave a weird hiccough. I mean, he's not an uptight person. He's always wants to do the right thing. And honestly, I think he's quite lonely. I increasingly think some people are meant to be lonely. I'm lonely because I'm a wreck and no one wants me. He's lonely because he's awful and no one wants him. See, you do have something in common. Not funny, Bridge. Are you seriously telling me there was nothing about that date that went well? Nothing you liked or connected with? Well, there was no denying the man had excellent taste in fish sandwiches and lemon posset, and there was a hidden softness in his eyes sometimes, and his rare smile, and the way he said Lucian was just like it was just for me. No, I said firmly. Absolutely not. Just admit it. Just admit your feelings. You're catching feelings and you're in love, and I love it. And I think it's great. Also, Bridget's optimism, is so, cliche and annoying because I know people like that, but also I love it because she's just nice and cute. But as I am cynical like Luke, I'm like, stop with the optimism. It's not going to work out. But I want it to work. I'm trying to be optimistic like her. But they start doing a bit of texting. I unlocked my phone and pinned a message to Oliver. Do fake boyfriends text? I'm not sure what I was expecting in return, but I got not when one of them is due in court. including the punctuation. It was mildly better than no reply at all. I like it how he really wanted something good from him. And also, including the punctuation, I've got in trouble from this before. My friends, I back in the day, because I punctuate a lot of my texts, I have stopped doing it as much, but I used to a lot. And one of my friends had admitted to me that she asked someone else that we knew, is he mad at me? And she's like, why? And he's like, he always full stops everything he sends to me. She's like, no, that's just how he texts. Like, I'm sorry, I punctuate. It's not anything meaning. There's something satisfying about it in a way. So he did finally reply with something else. And then, of course, Luke's going to make him wait for a bit because he made him wait and he's petty like that, but it's funny. And then, there's a little bit of back and forth, and then he doesn't reply again. There was no reply, even though I sat around to 1:30, definitely not caring. I was unexpectedly de-sleeped by a buzzing from my phone at 5 a.m. Apologies. Next time, I'll send a photograph of my penis. And then several further buzzings. That was a joke. I should probably make it clear that I am not intending to send you any pictures. I've never sent that sort of thing to anyone. As a lawyer, it is hard not to be aware of potential consequences. I was awake now, which normally I would have found profoundly objectionable. But you'd have to be a way better person than me not enjoy the hell out of Oliver losing his shit over a purely hypothetical dick pic. I also realize you're probably asleep at the moment, so perhaps if you could just delete the previous 5 messages when you wake up. Of course, I should emphasize, I'm not meaning to imply any judgment about people who choose to send intimate photographs to one another. It's just not something I am comfortable with. Of course, if it's something you're comfortable with, I understand. Not that I'm suggesting you have to send me a picture of your penis. Oh my god, I hope this comes back into play in some capacity because I think it is so funny, like when they get closer. Oh god, can you please delete every text I've ever sent to you? It is also great to see him on like the back foot, like been rattled. The influx of messages paused just long enough that I could pop off a reply. Sorry, I'm confused. Am I getting a dick pic or what? No! There was another pause. Then, I'm very embarrassed, Lucian. Please don't make it worse. I honestly don't know what possessed me. Maybe I felt sorry for him, but he had kind of, admittedly, accidentally made my morning. I'm looking forward to see you tomorrow. Thank you. Okay, now I wish I hadn't bothered, except a second or two later I'm looking forward to see you too. And while that felt better, it was, if anything, even more confusing. They're catching feelings, and I love it. Oh, just seeing this like slow, hateful like setup is so good. It's so fun. Anywho, so he's getting ready for brunch on Sunday. He's like trying to find something to wear that's like appropriate for the occasion, still sexy, but still like dressed and articulate and intellectual, because that's what Oliver is and we want to impress him. And I love it. Oh my gosh. But his mum rings and she's kind of like, can you please come home? You need to come home. I have an actual date with an actual man and I'm very happy for you, but this cannot wait. Mum, I said firmly, this is getting weird. What's going on? There was a pause, which a paranoid part of me did think felt like the kind of pause you'd leave if you had to non-verbally ask a kidnapper for instructions. They had talked about kidnappers, it's fine, it didn't actually happen. Oh my gosh, now I've lost me where I am. Oh, listen to me, Luke. This is not the same as when I said you had to come immediately because my life was in danger, and it turned out just to be I needed you to replace the battery in my smoke alarm. Although I do maintain that I could have died. I'm old and I'm French. I fall asleep with a cigarette all the time. Also, it was making a very annoying noise. It was like Guantanamo Bay. How is it like Actually, never mind. Please come over. I'm sorry to do this, but I'm playing the you have to trust me card. Because you have to trust me. Well, that was it. That was that. When it came down to it, it was me and my mum. And then there was everyone else. I'll be there as soon as I can. I knew the decent thing to do was to ring Oliver and try to explain, but I didn't know what I was going to say. Hi, I have this really intense relationship with my mother and probably looks creepy and codependent from the outside, so I'm calling off the date, so basically I begged you to go with me. Also, I was a coward, so I texted and said, can't make it, can't explain why, sorry, enjoy brunch. Ooh, wrong choice. Wrong choice at all. You could have explained it, even in a text. Sorry, something has come up important with my mother. Everyone respects parental boundaries, at least. It's a thing that you just, like, ultimately do and you understand. And then when you see them next time, you can explain the whole story. Even if you don't trust them enough to do the whole story, you could do it well enough. So Luke immediately gets on a train, rushes to the thing, meets his mum's friend Judy, gets in her car, realizes for maybe the 1000th time, because it seems to have happened before, that she is a horrible driver and she may speed way too much, and he is scared for his life, but he's also scared about his mother, and things are going on, and he's also missed this brunch date, which is annoying. But they finally get to his mum's house. I unlatched the gate, I made my way through the slightly overgrown front garden and let myself into the house. I'm not entirely sure what I was expecting, but it definitely wasn't John Fleming. At first, I thought I was having some kind of hallucination. He'd been around when I was very young, but I had no memory of him. So this was effectively the first time I'd seen my, father in person. Which is just like, holy shit. Never did I think this is where it was going. So I'll just keep jumping on to like different bits over the next 2 pages because holy shit, like it just blew my mind because I was like, oh, it's only going to be about love. Of course, I know nothing about the book, so I'm an idiot. I would have been happy to live my entire life without having to look my dad in the face. Unfortunately, as with so much else, he wasn't giving me the choice. And I will tell you now, it was the weirdest fucking thing. Because the way someone seems in a photograph and the way they are really is that there's a horrible uncanny valley of recognition and strangeness. And it's even worse when you can see bits of yourself in them. My eyes looking back at me. That strange, not quite blue, not quite green. Luke, he tried again. I've got cancer. Of course he did. So, it's made me realize some things. Made me think about what's important. What? You mean the people you abandoned? I am your father, said John Fleming, which his gravelly rock legend voice somehow transformed from meaningless platitude into a profound statement of mutual contentedness. This is my last chance to know you. Oh, Jesus. There was a buzzing in my head like I'd snotted bees. A lifetime of manipulative movie bullshit had taught me exactly how I was supposed to behave here. I was allowed a brief flash of unconvincing anger, then I'd cry, and he'd cry, and would hug, and the camera would pan out, and all would be forgiven. I looked him straight in those wise, sorrowful, too familiar eyes. Oh, fuck off and die. I mean, fuck off and literally die. You could have done this at any time in the last 2 decades. You don't get to do it now. I know I've let you down. He was nodding sincerely, as though he was trying to tell me he understood what I was saying better than I did myself. But it's taken me a long time to get where I always should have been. It's a really tough. I'll read out the last bit for like the chapters that we're doing today, and then I'll get back to it because actually no, it kind of is something else. So Luke just leaves after that, and it's such a tough like thought and thing to talk about, and especially for me not having any sort of experience. Like I don't have a life like these, so it's only from an opinion from outside living that, like my parents are together. I talk to both my parents, and none of them has that. Like I don't have that, so I can't I can empathize only from an outside perspective, but I obviously understand both sides. Like, if his dad's really convinced that if it's a terminal diagnosis and he's going to pass, I can only imagine that yes, he probably really wants to maybe connect with his child, and he's kind of got to a point where he actually realizes that's something important to him in life, and maybe something he wants to do. And I assume that emotion of his is so strong and like yearning to get it, like to get through that before he passes. I couldn't even imagine how his heart would feel. But then there's Luke, who was with his mum and only with his mum, and felt abandoned and has like issues with that, and has seen him on TV, and his fame has always had something who has had a negative effect on Luke. with the tabloids and the press and his father, them always comparing to him. So I obviously see both lights, and they're both very difficult, and I really want to see where this subplot goes. And I hope he'll get to talk to Oliver about it eventually, which we'll talk about after this one, but from the next page. But I want to see where this goes, because obviously I'm the person who, I want them to make up and I want them to be happy, but I feel like I don't necessarily need or want Luke, it's up to Luke and his decision and whatever he's written to do. I don't think he needs to or anything like forgive him or accept him, but I do want his father to at least have some sort of closure with Luke before he goes. So I hope Luke gives him some sort of chance. I was having some sort of hot, ragey, cryy feeling that made me avoiding other humans was a pretty high priority for me. I was very slightly calmer by the time I was on the train, whooshing back to London, and for some reason I decided that would be a good moment to pick up Oliver's voicemail. "Lucien," he said, "I don't know what I was expecting, but this clearly isn't going to work. There isn't going to be a in future, but if in some imaginary future you were thinking of standing me up again, at least do me the courtesy of inventing a decent excuse. And I'm sure you're finding this all very funny, but this isn't something I need in my life right now." Something's going on, and I can't wait to get to it. Well, that was what it was. I listened to it again and immediately wondered why the fuck I'd done that to myself. I guess maybe I was hoping it would be better the second time around. It wasn't. The carriage was mostly empty. It was a funny time of day to be heading into the city, so I tucked my face into the crook of my arm and shed some serendipitous tears. I didn't even know what I was crying over. I'd had an argument with a father I didn't remember and been dumped by a guy I wasn't dating. Neither of those things should have hurt. Didn't hurt. I wasn't going to let them hurt. I mean, yes, I was probably going to lose my job and probably going to be alone forever, and my father would probably die of cancer. But you know what? Fuck everything. I was going to go home, put on my dressing gown, and drink until nothing mattered anymore. There was fuck all I could do about the other stuff, but I could do that. Oh, Luke, he's just... I feel like he just also, from his past relationships and life, a part of his confidence is just shattered to go for the things I want, or say the things he needs to say, because I just want him to go up to, the dad thing's one thing, but I just want him to like ring Oliver back, or make that gesture and show up and be like, this is what happened. Like, I actually really did want to do this. Obviously, this isn't his character. I want him to be like, I like these things that you do. I enjoy your company sometimes. When we're getting along well. This was what happened. And let's talk about it, and just maybe talk to Oliver about the things that are going wrong with like his dad, and tell him why he wasn't there, and then maybe Oliver could give him some insight, and then they could bond, and then they could be in love. But maybe that's exactly what's going to happen, but I want to get into it. It was a hard place to end. It was a hard chapter to end on, because all I wanted to do was keep reading, because I was like, oh, this is getting good. It's gripped me. The book has gripped me. It has got me. It has hooked my little heart. I love the characters. Luke is, like, I can't, like him. Like, I can't fall in love with him because I relate to him too much. Do you know what I mean? In my mind, we are very similar. And the way it's written, I really feel like I am there and I am on his journey. So I can't fall in love with myself. even to the point of the narcissist that I am, which I do enjoy myself. I'm like, I can't fall in love with a person I relate to in a book who reminds me of me. But Oliver. God. Gotta find me my Oliver. Gotta find me my Oliver, or my Alex, or my Henry. They're the three I'm going for. A nice mix of those three. He's a prince who is also a lawyer, who is also the first son of some country. Oh my god, could you imagine? I don't think that could... I guess a prince and a first son is very similar in a way. So maybe those two we could just have... And they're also a lawyer. But I don't know, it was really cute. I'm hooked. I love it. I'm enjoying their journey. I can't wait to see where the different plots go, like where he's going to go from here, how he's going to get back together with Oliver, and how they're going to figure out. I can't wait to see them go to the Beetle Drive and to Oliver's family place. Hopefully they're a lot closer by the time they get there. I also can't wait to see what happens with the dad. I don't know. I'm hooked and I'm really enjoying it, and I hope if you've read it before, this is the part where it starts to like snowball and will be good, or if you're reading along with me, that you're also getting like the feelings I am and you're getting hooked to it. I don't know. I'm enjoying it so much, but if I gush too much, I think my cheeks will break because my smile is starting to hurt. But I hope you enjoyed and are having a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in the next one.